Hi, good morning, it's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, dramatic actions were just narrowly avoided yesterday. These are actions I don't want to have to take ever. I want to keep this available to everybody. But if it weren't for just 7 people, that was where we was aiming towards the end of this month. And what I'm talking about is just raising enough funds to keep our head above the water and save us going out of business. I think they deserve a shout out. So a huge thanks to Timothy, Deborah, Jennifer, Ingrid and Sandy, and a huge thanks and special thanks to Alex, for that, what can I say? Stuck for words. Just massive support from Alex, and thanks to Rob as well, because Alex and Rob were the only ones that have ever clicked that donate button that you can see down there at the bottom left on the channel. And we have had support buttons on a few other pages of this, but nothing has ever been clicked up until yesterday. And I expressed how close we really were to taking some drastic actions. So big thanks to those people that supported us yesterday and just about kept us above the water. And thanks to the patrons every month that constantly are there for us at the observatory. We are facing crushing pressure from several organisations. If you hadn't guessed it, they are obviously all working together. And I'm talking about Amazon, YouTube, Google, PayPal, Twitter and all the other social media and news groups. There are a small amount of organisations which are here to make not life better for any of us, but to make it worse for us. Over here in the UK, the Prime Minister has decided to invest £500 million in testing kits. His aim is to get 1 million people tested for COVID-19. So to this point in time, we don't have adequate testing for this. And with the dream of creating a vaccine, it's never going to happen. We have had pneumonia for ever on this planet, and we have never to this day created a cure for that. So the chances of them creating a cure which is going to be safe for everybody to use is just nothing but a dream for them at them organisations. And the money is never going to be spent where it should be. You guys know this. It's just another angle to steal taxpayers' money. If they was doing the right thing about this situation, none of us would be going out of business. None of us would be forced out of our homes. None of us would be here right now. This has been used as a mechanism to take our freedoms away. And really guys, we need to start brainstorming as to what we do to begin the fight back and take back our freedoms. That is where we need to be right now, as far as I'm concerned. We can keep talking about these problems, but unless we start to take action and resolve them, it is never going to change for us. We are going to be subjected to further rights being removed from ourselves. Just watching somebody else on another channel this morning. I generally have a small group of subscribers who I subscribe to, and just listening to a few of them this morning, I get the idea that we are all aiming for the same target on all our channels that I look at. We are all concerned about the same things: climate, our situation with the food crisis, grand solar minimum, magnetic pole reversal, and this tool that has been implemented with COVID-19. All is a common subject on these channels right now. I think you'll agree that the only thing different about our channel is that we're an observatory, and therefore we have got equipment in the field globally now. And our intentions is to keep that the way it is, keep the information for people, everyone, and not bar anyone. If we can just manage to keep it funded, we can achieve that. It has to be strength in numbers, and we can't just keep relying on just a few people every time. We have to have a common interest, and I believe we've got that, and we have to have a strategy of how to reverse this problem. And I think that the more people that become aware of what is going on, I think a lot of people do have a good feeling that something isn't quite right. A lot of people don't trust in governments anymore, and for right reasons. We know that half these politicians that are being paid out of the public taxpayers' purse, are squandering the money on yachts, on luxury items and things like that. And that should never be how public money is spent, on individual personal luxury items. We've had it in this country where, this guy lives in a castle who's a politician, and he put to the taxpayers the bill to clean his moat out. This little lake that runs round his castle. He put the bill for us to clean it out for him. That is just a complete disgrace. And this is what's going on. And this is why we're taxed as heavy as what we are. There is mobsters running Europe. Not one of them is elected in the European Union that control Europe, and yet they have took the printing presses off France, Germany, etc., etc. And when money needs to be borrowed, it has to be borrowed from the Union. You can't just simply bail yourself out like a lot of countries that still have their sovereign currencies. And that comes then down to sacrifices that the general public have to make in order to put security on the line. And we've seen that happen. We've seen them steal the pensions and make people even more impoverished. I was in Spain a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago now, and I couldn't believe what I witnessed. Elderly people in the daytime going through the bins for food. That's Europe for you. That's the benefits of being in Europe. That's the benefits of sacrificing billions of pounds of your sovereign tax money to Europe right now. Europe has got to go, because it is not elected by anybody. They're just a mob controlling things, telling people in their countries what they can and can't do. They do not represent anything of any worth to any country or anyone. And I'm not just talking about Europe, I'm talking about the UK, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. We are being led by the wrong type of people. I hope you will agree on that. And we can change it. There is more of us, 7 billion of us, with, compared to, on the other hand, a handful of greedy people that are addicted to money. And as a result of that, they keep coming. Every 5 years, it's like a regular feed. When they think that the fruit is ready and ready to be harvested, they come along and take it. 2007, lots of people lost their houses. There was a massive transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich. And here we are again, only a different scenario. I hope you do see that. It's just a different scenario. Only this time, they sacrifice more of our freedoms and they take more of our money. And right now, here in the UK, I keep mentioning this because it sickens me. 250,000 people are ready to be evicted by the courts on the government's say-so. I think it's a Section 8 and a Section 12, which mandatory states that they have to be evicted because they haven't paid 2 months' rent. And the reason why they haven't been able to pay the rent is because the government locked the country down, and it forced businesses to go bankrupt. They are owed, these people, if this is the case, they are owed massive amounts of compensation. The suicide rate in the UK is skyrocketing right now because people can't cope. People can't manage in this system anymore. The monetary system has already surpassed its sell-by date globally, and it no longer sustains the majority of the people. How can you, if you have not got a job, get your hands on money? Well, there is only 3 ways, I believe, of doing this: working for money, receiving benefits, or stealing it. And most of us are too good of people to steal it. We know what happens when we go on benefits. We plummet into poverty, and a lot of us now haven't got the luxury of a job because of the government and its legislation and its laws with regards to this outbreak, which should have been contained from day one if it was original. If it is even a real virus, I don't think it is. I think it's the common cold, just given a new name. But nevertheless, massive amounts of people will lose their homes, will lose their jobs, and, starvation is already happening around the world. Hundreds of thousands of people below the poverty line and starving to death. Something needs to change. We know what the problems are. We need to start, like I say, brainstorming and coming up with some solutions to how we really can deal with this problem. It amazes me if people can join Extinction Rebellion and put themselves in way of being arrested for something that doesn't really make no difference. It doesn't make no difference how much CO2 we put into the atmosphere. It does not matter. If we put more CO2 into the atmosphere, we put it this way, it'd be impossible for us, according to what I've read and what scientists agree, it would be impossible for us to even try and double the amount of CO2 in our atmosphere. But even if we did, it wouldn't make any difference. It's common for greenhouses and, agricultural growers in greenhouses and polytunnels to pump in CO2 up to about 1200 parts per million, because plants simply thrive in an environment where there's plenty of CO2. So the only thing that would happen if CO2 increased would be, a more flourishment of vegetation on the planet. Is that a bad thing? We've seen the deserts going greener as a result of a little bit more CO2 in the atmosphere. If you check on At a Glance Earth Health on this website, you'll see that CO2 recorded levels was at 408 the last time we'd done a check this Wednesday. That's very close to what the Hawaiian Observatory is monitoring, but it fluctuates. It fluctuates as we know. And the only reason we know this now is because we got the equipment to do that. We got the CO2 equipment to measure the atmospheric CO2, and we know this to be the case. CO2 fluctuates from 408 up to just below 450 parts per million. So there's no panic. Extinction Rebellion, you don't need to panic. We don't need to reduce our carbon output by 0%. And even if we did here in the UK, in America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and other countries in Europe did it, reduced our emission to 0, it wouldn't make a slight difference, because look what the Indian Prime Minister said about CO2 reduction. He said, when my country people live the same quality of life as what yous do in the West, then we'll consider reducing CO2 and even taking the matter on board. Because it doesn't matter. We've got China, opening up coal power plants every month. You've got India, slowly emerging on the global market as one of the massive manufacturers now in the world. It's the new China, India is. And as it demands more energy, it will build more coal power plants. Simple as that. It's funny, I was talking to someone, about the alternative. What is the alternative? We've got nuclear power, but we have to put the waste in containers and bury them in the ground. We know that the half-life of most radiation and radioactive materials is about 400,000 years. It's not really sustainable. It is clean energy, but it also has an environmental impact. And the other thing that they're trying to do is, wind and solar power. Well, I've just read a document on solar panel that are starting to come close to their end of life cycle, and there's a big recycling cost at the end of it, which really has to be factored in the cost of producing the energy, which makes solar power even less greener as a result of the recycling costs at the end of it. So, and we know wind is only dependent on, the weather. I know we've got a lot of wind power generators here in the UK, and the majority of the time when you go past them, they're not turning for some reason. But the cost to build them and the actual, the energy that we get back is so small, and yet it's the dearest type of electricity that we pay for. Then we've got fusion, which hasn't been achieved yet. They've managed to get it sustained for less than a minute. And where did that technology come from? They believed that the sun ran on fusion, yet these fusion reactors that they're building are probably 100 times hotter than the sun. So if that's the case and they can't get them working, then maybe the idea and the theory behind the sun being a nuclear power plant and fusion reaction, hydrogen being converted into helium, and we're getting the reaction, is maybe wrong. Maybe I'm a little bit more right in saying that sun up there is not what we think. That is an explosion that's already occurred, but it's such a violent explosion it froze in time. The faster you move towards speed of light, the slower you become, and we've proved this with 2 atomic clocks. One that was put on a plane, one was left on the ground. The plane flew round at about 450 miles an hour for a certain amount of hours, come back on the tarmac, put the 2 clocks together. One was advanced more than the other. So we know that time travel does slow things down. And that is probably what we're thinking. That's why the photosphere of the sun is hotter than the actual surface of the sun. That's probably why the photons leave at the photosphere of the sun and not from the surface. Because what's happening at the photosphere is a deceleration of the photons that exploded probably tens of thousands of years ago. And it's at the photosphere that they slow down to just below, or marginally just below, the speed of light, and therefore they begin to move out of the photosphere and move out towards places like the surface of the sun during daytime. Another thing is that we've never detected the amount of neutrons that should be coming off the sun as a result of this fusion reaction that they claim. So something's not quite right, is it, guys? But we got lots of problems, and right now we are facing a real big issue with these pigs at the trough, these greedy people, and we need to start brainstorming. I want to see some of you guys what your ideas would be, to make the world a better place for us all. And I think that we shouldn't just debate this. I think that we should really be in a position to actually prepare ourselves to do something about it, whether that's protesting, creating more unions, or just simply defiance. We need to make a decision, because I think we'll all agree that if you're like myself, you've got children, and they're going to be the future generations, they're going to be the inheritors of everything on this planet. Right now, we're not doing them very much good service, because we are allowing our freedoms to be taken away, and theirs in turn. And we are not making it any easier for them to clear up this mess at this point, and that's what we need to do, I think. We're a couple of, probably 2-3 years away from a magnetic pole reversal, but right now, we're facing a lot of trouble, and it is partly to do with the magnetic pole reversal. The reason why we've got more inbound cosmic radiation is because of our magnetosphere is weakening, allowing it in, ending up in the jet streams as water molecule condenses in those jet streams, makes them sluggish, changes the behavioural pattern. We've seen an intermix of polar jet streams and subtropical jet streams. As a result, we are now facing seasonal dysfunction, where we do not get normal, recognised, expected seasons where we can grow crops. So we've turned the farmers now into gamblers, and it's a big risk. I said it a couple of weeks ago, a New Holland combine harvester comes in at a price of around about £1 million. If you're not bringing any crops out the ground, you're not paying the repayments on that. Your farm's probably on the line. We had a real nice gentleman from, I believe, Australia, said that the government or the bank took his farm, and he says it was probably a good thing as well, because it was killing him to keep it. But the thing is that, you know, when farmers go out of business, there goes the productive land that kept us all fed. The only reason we've got 7 billion people on this world right now is because of the ability to go into the farms and onto the land and harvest, you know, large quantities of wheat in one go. And if that changes, then it starts to have an effect on us all down the line. We're facing crisis, not just with CO2, excuse me, not just human rights, not just a change in our world, an ever-changing world with regards to climate. We're facing, you know, a lot of issues, guys, and I think we need to, you know, build ourselves a think tank here. We can start here on this channel, and first of all, what needs to be discussed is perhaps some possible solutions to some of these problems that we are all commonly experiencing right now. And maybe we can bring out change. You know, you never know. This is a seed, and it can grow into a mighty oak. This is something tiny at the moment, which can change tomorrow for 7 billion people on this planet. So I'm really interested in hearing what you've got to say about this in the comment section, and I will do my best to reply to as many of those comments as I can. So I'm prepared to put my time in, guys. You know, it'd be great if you would put your time in, and if you can, support the observatory with a bit of cash. The links are there. I'm not going to keep you anymore, guys. I think you know where we need to go, what we need to do. So you know, I'll just big thanks to those special people yesterday that, you know, kept us above water again. We are finding ourselves constantly these days going underwater. So, you know, I won't say no more. Try and enjoy your day. I know it's not easy, guys. You know, I am with you. You know, I'm experiencing this crap just as much as what you are. Trust me. So I'll say what I usually do. As always, bye for now.